on champagne sparkled, floated elegant on wisps of charm and intellect anchored by the arm he wore her on. He paraded her from image to image, grandfather's smile pinned properly in place. She spilled her laughter into the evening chatter. Playing fire in an adult playground, playing an adult warmed her. Made her forget bare-legged and cheeked kisses too close to the mouth, but never mind that. What did she think of this painting? How clever her response, how grown up her opinions, and never mind the glass he pushed into her hand, the sour taste that lingered. Sweet things were the domain of small, sticky fingers and gap-toothed blackcurrant smiles. It was long past the bedtime of most children, and didn't she know it? Pulled as she was down deserted corridors, their footsteps were whispered secrets, and this was the biggest secret of them all. She remembers being pushed up against the wall, the rough sunburned scratches and his fingertips playing dot to dot on her hips. And she remembers the taste of cement dust. It coated her lips and it caught in her throat, and she still chokes on the memory of it. She still chokes on the memory of it, and she wishes it was her only memory of it. That night he tore her from her childhood, left her innocence to leak out and seep sticky up on the floor between her feet. There were no witnesses, no chalk outline to mark its passing, but she is adult now.
She is no one special. She is the one your eyes tried to avoid but took a quick glance when you believed she wasn't watching. And you saw that she is a red speck on a black canvas. She is a black lung in a grey body. She is a grey hair on a white pillow. She is a white mattress behind a blue curtain. She is the whisper of reality to kings. She is the next hymn your family and friends sing. She is every sob, every sniffle, every anecdote, every scream of anti-hope. She is the smash of the glass bottle containing the antidote. She is decay running through dirt. She is every scent of hurt. She is all alcoholic and ashy breath, but she is not sent to hurt.
Heat seeps from open pores. Captured in a natural disaster, I am enraptured by a Bella Donna Hall. Cast a line with your eyes and I come to the surface, drunk off your Aryan stare, proud to worship. In sallow skin lies the root of this sin. As I burn, I yearn to devour you, let my fury bleach you clean. So hard to hold like grasping water in a dream, drowning in thunderstorms, only an open mouth can scream. If you are a drug, then friend, call me fiend. And if I spoke, then she speaks. If I smoke, then she breathes. If I am broken, she bleeds. I am Moses and she the reeds. She is me. Yeah, if we are all crafted from ashes and must return to the dust, I see no reason to keep my heart beating for love. I'm an animal, and animals need meat and lust.
And my shortened life is but a small price to pay for just one taste of her sweet, ashy lips. I am the serial murderer that murmurs words in a husky tongue before the hangman, a wheeze in my throat as I utter my final request. A cigarette. I like to play with fire, to lay beside a blazing tempest and brush golden strains of hair from its face and question why the whole world is not as blinded by its beauty as I am. And witch doctors, they whisper her name through books of old. As the cracked den prophets roll pages from Exodus, Moses exchanged words with God through burning bush, and to kiss you is to tempt death. Still, is it so wrong to find fashion in the red robes of the reaper? I take early morning strolls to the merchant serving 10 tobacco serpents ever so tightly pursed into Pandora's box. I mock the face of my own mortality to the sound of 90s hip-hop. I feed fish to a grinning shark's teeth, at arm's reach, fingers flick to the spiritual. For I am he who haymakered Hades and got free head off Cerberus. I crypt walk over hot clothes, ever closer to my death, when my bones too will be turned to ash.
I taught fear within the parchment of the Torah. Turned Cain and Abel to legend. The dancing ghoul that ghosts every ghoul and systematically murdering masses. So it isn't a tragedy, but merely a statistic. Capitalism is the genesis of my religion that kisses the coffins of clerics, secular plutocrats, tie loose onto flaccid souls, reverts them into marionettes. Ignorance is bliss. That's why the newspapers are inkless to reveal the blood drawn in Ferguson. This is the bubonic rats running London in 1666. Crosses in a ballot box are no cure for my descending plague. I was the plutonium in Hiroshima, the sun that burnt suns in Cambodia. Machetes turned WMDs in Rwanda. Bush's crusade to turn crude into currency in Iraq. I am the scratch marks inside the gas chambers of Auschwitz. Our generation is tuning to become the chorus for this requiem as we learn from history that we do not learn from history.
I wrote a Hemingway along your spine. It read profanity. And biro pens that I wrote poems with I swallowed so they never tell my secrets. We've been very strange. I was never raised properly, just a sloppy-mannered prophet with a lot to say and a tongue that mattered not. His head, the laughing spot. The zip I hid, the curry chicken, the ugly women, the lungs of villages I filled with vats of ink and Saturday moments scribbled in Ritalin and limericks and italic of font. I never cared about Parisians, and I never will. All of my knife habits are 7-inch. All of my wives are cursed with melanin. My eyes are double and saturated in American stout ale. And all of my younger siblings are dead. And my mother doesn't look me in the face, but at the footprints that I give, I'm a terrible human. I was on the phone for some hours, a December of a man. I remember all the times you would steal from the corner shop because my fingers were in your pockets at the time, and I told you that I liked you. In that small pocket of time that you forgot you were smiling in, I've been lost on these forgotten islands, swapping pints with Pontius Pilate. It's been a while since he's mentioned we will die together. I'm tiptoeing around the subject, to be honest. I'm trying to stay on the topic of memories.
Institution, institution, that which brings men to their worn knees, bowing to rules and regulations, that which makes weak men strong and strong women weak. Institution, institution, revered as the backbone of society. I say society's back is broken. Turn your back from Moloch and accept the wider horizon that surrounds you. Fly with newly formed wings of wonder and sit on the throne in the sky. Be the king of something new rather than a slave to archaic principles. Don't be tempted by the grandeur of the golden pantheon where institution sits. And education, as son to that God, sits also in the pantheon, smugly, arrogantly looking down below. Yes, he gives order to those directionless faces, but only a select few. His power is now a weapon and not a gift. Education, education, they say it teaches you to learn. It does not. It teaches you to lie and die under the black sun of night. Don't be afraid to grace the golden distance with your mind's presence. Embrace the horizon and ignore the futility of tomorrow. For we belong to a different family, a Titan family, a family of knowledge rebellious to the gods. For we are all Prometheus, stealing the fire and keeping it in our hearts. Refuse the meal of Pelops and keep the knowledge, that beautiful knowledge, that untainted knowledge, that newborn knowledge.
You must forgive these hands, always fluttering, and this tongue always spluttering, but all night I've been throwing glances your way like pennies into wishing wells. So as your hand alights on mine, that second swells. And in your eyes, I see the solace of blue skies. There I am Icarus, lost in the moment just before those wings crisp. I doubt you can see that boy, huddled in the hook of a crescent moon. He's looking askance to the stars like, why did those lips curl and carve open this bitter heart? He's seen mornings when he'd wake only to hear you speak of the dreams that condense along your lashes and trickle down your cheek. He's seen evenings spent taking moonlit strolls down the corridors of your complexities to reach the gallery of your mind's eye where I could waste a lifetime admiring the pictures painted by every thought you've ever had. I know all too well this feeling of one thought too many. Maybe one day I'll learn better how to spend that penny, but probably I won't. Probably you don't ever think of me. Indeed, most likely my shadow has never even dipped a toe in your stream of consciousness. See, your scent still lingers on my pillowcase. So each night greets me with the ghost of your embrace as I recall that time when your hand alighted on mine, and I was left bereft and inchoate, like autumnal trees, stripped of leaves. Dignity trips as it leaves, as my hands fumble, tumble, and cascade over each other, as my tongue does stumble and stall.
I left her heartless, listening to those twinkling pianos in the next apartment. Desolation Lake was where I'd left her carcass, and I'm sinking in regret. Thinking of that ink upon her neck, I'm drinking liquor with Mount Olympus's elite. I'm bored, but it sure beats sitting in the street. My body's motionless. I've lodged my left leg in a tar pit. On my wall I scrawled the sentences of an artist. This endlessness is cathartic, I can't take it. The situation was two-sided like card faces. I foresaw it all in the folds of her palm. As beautiful and unusual and as slow as a psalm, skin paler than Slovenian winter. She's a mess, I can almost feel it within her.
All power to the people. You'll find my gun tucked in my knickers. I'm an old soul, reincarnated through the generations, propagated across nations. All power to the people. To those who have to arm themselves with the tongues of the devils who would do them harm because they have long hair, wear female underwear, wear kickers, buy stickers of Nefertiti, stand on no proliferation pickets. All power to the prostitutes and to the proletarians. I can hear the Palestinians, I can hear the plantations. Power to partisans of peace across the ages, to all creatures detained unjustly in cages, to anything that's had a gun held to its head, to minority persons misled, to freedom from fear. Here's to the discotheques, here's to the lonely, and here's to the elderly, here's to the psychotic, and here's to the neurotic. Power to the philanthropic, and power to the poets who use too many plosives, and power to the powerless at the hands of explosives. Power to the piss takers, and power to the praise singers, and power to the hungry, and power to the displaced, and power to the ugly so that they can see the beauty in their own face. All power to the people. Existential crisis. If stars draw in smoke and dilate like pupils on a human high, unbutton all their energy and let themselves die, then how do our star signs survive? Why not with those sons do our next month's plans perish? Love affairs, health scares, unanswered prayers and friendships to cherish. I'd look away from the sky, but I was born with a barbed wire slinky around my neck. If I bring my chin back down to earth, my head might come away from my shoulders, roll out of my reach and into heck. And every crystal ball I've ever gazed in has shown a swollen reflection, a distorted complexion of something more dour and yellow than myself. Is there ever trying to tell me that soon my body will become trapped in spherical detention? The pressure of Western living and social tension will soften and sag like my skin, make it stretch, like it eventually will my pension. From retirement to eternal rest, I'll have next to nothing left in interest, and you can forget about inheritance, if only it matched my penitence. I'll have nothing left in evidence to set my soul free, to construct a key to this cage of culpability. I'm having an existential crisis. Would someone please wipe this flash drive of the things I've done and burn me a CD-ROM of the times that have gone? I'll take it with me, I'll do all that it takes. They can remedy with fire this sickness of mistakes. They can send mean archangels to wrestle me at the gates. But I'll kickbox the seraphims, and I'll sucker punch the fates.
Behind quiet, closed doors, I cut myself on broken opium smiles, drown my demons in feverish Oedipus eyes. I was born a pretty pound of flesh, softly weeping. Human nature is a violent beast, caged, softly sleeping, and we are painfully pagan. The descendants of instinct and rages, we were crafted of sea foam and sentient suffering, the children of broken homes and silence smothering. We sing songs to the sky as the earth suffocates beneath our feet. We are cheap, the sum of all parts, Alpha, Omega. We are Christ crucified, Christ the Savior. We are fight or flight, stood frozen. We are Narcissus and our skin is ambrosian. We are the one drop of hope in 1,000 hopeless oceans. We are humanity, a hopeless notion. Just quiet storms, throwing the weight of our woes against broken window panes. Quiet storms bleeding our souls in contemptuous, tempestuous rain. Quiet storms with eyes bright as lightning. Quiet storms with eyes shock soft and shining. Quiet storms heralding the end of days. This is the end of days, reflected in the ways we were raised. We were raised as heroes. Quiet heroes, quiet cities, quiet streets behind, quiet closed doors. I cut myself on broken opium smiles, drown my demons in feverish Oedipus eyes. I was born a pretty pound of flesh, softly weeping. Human nature is a violent beast, caged, softly sleeping.
Evil is alive and it is thriving, like the maggots feeding on your rancid waste. It lies there, under your nose, squirming in your nostrils. It knows you cannot quite see it. You thought evil was simply a fiction, an elderly, grey-haired, poison apple-wielding hag. Use your intuition. Evil is the waving red of the fascist Nazi flag. Yet it is the red, white and blue of the great British flag too. It is the star-spangled banner of the United States of America. Evil can lie within the heart of the saint. It is not necessarily the other. This very same way, you need to stand back to admire a painting in its full form. The short-sighted need glasses to notice that they are the eye of the storm.
Yo, what's going on, band on the wall? We good, yeah? Woo! We good, yeah? We're looking forward to some Saul Williams. Yeah! I am, trust me. Yo, has anyone heard of some music called grime? Yeah? Does anyone like grime? Yeah! Well, I love grime. In fact, I've got a bit of a confession to make. I'm Jardel, and I'm a grimeaholic. I'm Jardel, I'm a grimeaholic. I can't help myself, man, I've tried to stop it. See, I put all sorts inside my body, but nothing beats the way I get hyper from it. I crave when I'm raving at night, I want it. When I first used grime, I was kind of novice. So I swore to my mum when she saw it was drugged, I won't let it take over my life, I promise. But now I've got grime hidden inside my pocket, and I can't keep count of the lines I'm dropping. I've overdosed once or twice upon it, and I've got videos as reminders of it. Only problem is, you can't trust all of the guys that shot it. Some of it ain't pure, it's a grime for profit. People think it's an evil thing. They say to me, yo, you should try and get off it. Fuck that, I'm a user for life, I love it. Grime's sick, I spit pints of vomit. I just can't think, on my mind be clotted. This must be what writer's block is. I'd kill for grime, and the guys I've bodied could tell by looking in my eyes I'm on it. I'm addicted by the genre, it's a different height to what the likes of rock is. I believe that grime is a drug, been addicted since I was a pup, and I ain't got control of it yet. When I roll to the set, I'm lighting it up. Grime is a drug, been addicted since I was a pup, and I ain't got control of it yet. When I roll to the set, I'm lighting it up. Thank you, nice one.
Stop smiling. Everything I said up to now is a lie. I had a soul, but America censored it. When are we going to realize that God is a plagued man? And when we pray to him, he doesn't answer because he doesn't believe we exist. He thinks we're just voices in his head. Asking him for things he simply can't deliver on, so he split himself into three, but even then it wasn't enough. We've outgrown him. Lead-laced, red-faced expectation. Suffering from paranoia ever since a Padawan with a grand piano in Japan, Nagoya, the land of sand and soil, the gangs of lawyers standing over us, Jesus Christ. Even lonely with followers, walking through an empty Coney Island, the land of the warriors, dodge a bullet, throw a switchblade. My whole life has been planned. Snatch the heart out of a grown man with the slightest of hand. I'm retiring soon. Poetry is too high in demand. I watched the fight to the death with two blind men. I hid a knife in the sand. Thank you.